Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Okay, this pre-recorded lecture is on topic 3, okay, which titled Quantitative Demand Analysis. Okay, these are the outline for chapter 3, okay, in which the outline for the whole chapter will be, first we'll start with the concept of elasticity, and then we are going to look into the types of elasticity. Next, we look into how to obtain elasticities from demand functions, and the last one a little bit on what we call as regression analysis. Okay, so if you see here, right, here I put part 1, okay, because for this video I'm going to explain only this part, okay, the concept of elasticity and also the first type of elasticity, which is own price elasticity of demand. Okay, so if we recall, okay, chapter 2 last time, okay, chapter 2 is on market forces, okay, the demand and supply functions. What we have learned is only in qualitative terms, meaning we just learn on the law of demand. For example, it says when the demand increases, okay, when the price increases, okay, the demand for that good will fall, yeah. And if, for example, factors like income decreases, okay, and if the goods is normal good, then the demand for that good will fall as well. Okay, so we know only the direction, okay, whether the demand increase, the demand decrease, okay, whether the demand curve shift leftward, or if the demand curve shift rightward, yeah. Similar with the supply, yeah. Alright, so for chapter 3, we are going to look into the magnitude, okay, using this elasticity concept. Okay, magnitude means we only know, we not only know, okay, whether the demand increase or decreases, okay, but we can also calculate how much, okay, does it increase or decrease. Okay, so this is what we meant by magnitude. Okay, so first we look into the concept, and I believe that this is not something which is really new to you, okay, because you have learned about elasticity in your principle, okay. So if you can recall, okay, elasticity normally we means as responsiveness, okay. We want to measure the responsiveness of a percentage in one variable, okay, as a result from change in another variable, okay, and this variable here we label it as G and S, okay. This is a general symbol, okay. So if we look into the formula, right, the elasticity between two variables can be expressed in mathematically, right. And I think this is also something that you have learned before, okay, in which when you learn about the midpoint formula, okay, the elasticity can be expressed as percentage change in G over percentage change in S, okay. Again, as I said, the G and S is only the general symbol, okay. If you learn about the own price elasticity last time, this G and S later will change into that specific symbol, okay, into, for example, Q and P, right, in which we are going to look at it shortly after this, yeah. So this is the first formula, percentage change formula, percentage change in G over percentage change in S. However, when a functional relationship exists, okay, meaning if G is the function of S, okay, then the elasticity can be formulated like the second formula, okay, dg over ds, okay, this is actually the differentiation, okay, multiplied by S over G. Okay, let us look further into these two formulas. Right, so the first formula, okay, the first formula, right, is percentage change in Q over percentage change in P, okay. So if we expand this formula, okay, this percentage change in Q, okay, can be written as this one, okay, Q1 minus Q0 divided by Q0 multiplied by 100, okay, and percentage change in P can be I mean the formula is this, okay, P1 minus P0 divided by P0 multiplied by 100. So because this is 100 and 100, we can slash this 2, okay, and it become simplified like this one. Okay, so the Q1 minus Q0 is actually the same with change in Q, right? So we can write as change in Q over Q0 divided by, this one is P1 minus P0 is actually the same with change in P. Okay, so this one actually can be written as change in Q over Q0, okay, divide by change in P over P0, right? So if we change this sign into multiply, okay, we will get change in Q over Q0 multiplied by, okay, P0, okay, divide by change in P, okay, in which we change the numerator and denominator. Okay, so this one is similar with, okay, when we divide these two, when we multiply these two, it become change in Q P0 divided by Q0 change in P, right? So we can rewrite into change in Q P0 divided by, we put the change in P at the front and it become change in P Q0. So you see, this is similar with this one, okay, dq over dp, and this one is p over q. Alright, so actually, in other words, the first formula, okay, and the second formula, okay, can be proven as the same. I'm going to give you an example in which these two formula, if you use it, will derive, or we will derive to the similar answer. Alright, okay, before we go to the illustration, we look at what is important aspect that you have to understand. Okay, first is the sign of relationship. Okay, when we calculate the elasticity, sometimes we will get positive value and sometimes we will get negative value. Okay, but especially for own price elasticity, okay, the answer will always be negative. So when we want to decide whether it is highly responsive or slightly responsive, we just take the absolute value. Okay, we don't take into account whether it is positive or negative. Alright, we just look if it is more than 1, okay, it is very responsive. It is less than 1, is not very responsive. Okay, remember last time you have learned more specific on the own price elasticity. So we are going to look further into this first type. Okay, we call it as own price elasticity. So in overall, actually there are many types. Okay, we later will look into the cross price, income, okay, and also other types. Okay, for the own price elasticity, okay, what we measure is the responsiveness of a percentage change in the quantity demanded of good X to a percentage change in its own price. Own price means, okay, if this is good X, own price means what change is the price of good X, or we can put it as PX. So this is why it is called as own price elasticity of demand. Okay, so if you look into the formula, right, previously, actually it's the same formula, but previously we used the word or the alphabet G and S, right? That's why I said G and S is actually the general formula. When we want to look into a specific elasticity, like in this example, own price, then the G will change into QX and the S will change into PX. So you see here, this is X and this is also X, right? Because later when we look into, for example, like cross price, okay, then the symbol will be modified slightly. Okay, we have learned in chapter 2 that, okay, we have this law of demand, right? The law of demand says what? Okay, as the price of X increases, let's say, the quantity of X will fall and vice versa. So it always shows negative relationship. Okay, one goes up, one goes down. Alright, so we cannot when we calculate the elasticity, okay, when we have this law of demand, the answer will always be negative answer. Alright, so if we want to interpret the result, okay, this is where you learned last time. We have 3 types here. We call it as the demand is elastic, the demand is inelastic, and we have another one, the demand is unitary elastic. Okay, so in for own price elasticity, we ignore the negative sign because the answer will always be negative. If you show the calculation and you throw away the negative value, actually it's wrong. Okay, because the answer will definitely be negative because of this relationship. But when we want to determine whether it is elastic, inelastic, or unitary elastic, we just take the absolute value. So if it is more than 1, it is elastic. If you get like 0.8 something, okay, less than 1, meaning the demand is inelastic. If you get equal to 1, then it is unitary elastic. Okay, so let us see this exercise. Yeah. If a price increase from $5 to $7, okay, causes quantity demanded to fall from 150 to 100, what is the absolute value of the own price elasticity at the price of $7? Okay, so the question asks absolute value of the own price elasticity. That's why in the choices here, they don't put the negative sign. Alright, so how to solve this question? Okay, so remember that we have 2 formulas just now. Okay, we have the first formula and then we have the second formula. So which formula we want to use? Alright, okay, so I put back the question here, easy for us to see. Alright, so if we take the first formula, alright, this is the working. Okay, so remember just now, okay, how we expand this formula, we have to distract minus, okay, the old minus the new one, but in this case we put the Q1 instead of Q0, okay, because the question asks you at the price of 7. The price of 7 is actually the new price. Yeah, okay, so we put the value or we substitute the value. Okay, this is change in Q, right? Change in Q is the new one is 100, the old one is 150, so that is the differences. So 100 minus 150 multiplied by 100 divide by, okay, this one is percentage change in price. Okay, so if you solve this, you get negative 50 over 100 divided by 2 over 7. And if we change to multiplication, then you will get this one. Okay, negative 50 over 100 multiplied by 7 over 2. Then you can actually make it smaller lah. Simplify it further, or you can use your calculator and then you can get the answer. Yeah. So if you look into, okay, if you solve this basically, right, you take your calculator, you solve this this function, then you will get 1.75. Okay, so you can see in the alternative just now, answers, okay, this is basically the answer B. Yeah, all right, so this is if you use, or if we use the first formula. If we want to use the second formula, okay, in which actually students like the second formula better because it's easier, all right, we have to, okay, put down the change in Q. Okay, the change in Q is of course the difference between the old and new one. Okay, so 100 minus 150 divide by change in P. Okay, this is 7 minus 5 because the price increase from 5 to 7. Okay, and then multiply by 7 over 100. Why 7 over 100? Because the question wants you to calculate at the new price. So the new price is 7. Okay, and at the new price 7, the quantity is 100. Okay, so make sure you take the right match. This is the new quantity, this is the new price. Okay, so it should be new price and new quantity as well. So 7 over 100. So what you get is actually the same. Yeah, if we solve this, you should get the same answer, right? So you can try this on your own. Okay, so this is how we solve the question just now, right? In which I told you either you use formula number 1 or formula number 2. Okay, you should derive to the same answer. Yeah. Okay, so next we look at the relationship between the demand, elasticity, and revenue. Okay, so here we only look into the linear function. Yeah, the linear function. Alright, so here is the table in which, okay, the question here is what's the importance of businesses to understand the concept of elasticity. Yeah, because in practices we don't really calculate, okay, how much is the elasticity of our product. No, yeah, but we need to understand the concept because elasticity is closely related to the revenue. Yeah, if I ask you the question, okay, is it always the best strategy to reduce the price? Okay, will reducing the price will make our business earn more revenues? Okay, yes, as consumers we like to get, you know, discounts, okay, something that we can pay lesser. Okay, but if we are the seller, right, it seems that when you sell cheaper, then you can got more sales, and you can get more money. Yeah, but actually this is where, right, you have to understand the relationship between demand, elasticity, and revenue. Okay, so if you look into this table, okay, the price here, the price of software, the example given, okay, at the price of 0, okay, this is the quantity. Yeah, and we have learned in chapter 2 the law of demand. As price goes up, okay, so you see here the price goes up lah, because price become 5, 10, okay, it increasing, then the quantity demanded will decrease. This is the law of demand. So you can see it decreased from 80, 70, 60, and so on. Okay, so this is always the relationship between the price and the quantity for that particular good. Okay, so if we calculate the own price elasticity, right, using the formula, right, the demand function, later we will look at part 3. Okay, but okay, let's say that this is the elasticity, okay, calculated. Then you'll see that this one, right, this is all less than 1. Yeah, this is equal to 1 and this is more than 1. Right, of course the sign will always negative. Okay, so don't bother about the sign for this type of elasticity. You just look whether it is less than 1 or more than 1 or equal to 1. So as you have learned as well, okay, if it is less than 1, it is inelastic. Yeah, if it is more than 1, it is elastic. If it is equal to 1, then it is unitary elastic. Okay, so what happened to the total revenue? Okay, you can see here, as you increase the price, okay, your revenue is higher. Yeah, 350, 600, 750. Yeah, but if, okay, your demand is elastic, okay, increasing the price will cause you to lose the revenue. Okay, your revenue reduced 750, 600, 350. Yeah, so in other words, okay, we can reverse this. If we reduce the price, okay, let's say that we go from I to A, okay, reverse. As we reduce the price, Okay, if your demand is elastic, then you will get more revenues. But if your demand is inelastic, if we reduce the price, then actually reducing price is not good for the business because the revenue will also fall. Okay, so it means that it depends. Okay, it's not that all the time if you reduce the revenue, you will get more revenues basically. Okay, sorry, if you reduce your price, okay, it's not necessarily you will get more revenues, okay, because it depends on whether your product or the demand of your product is elastic or inelastic. Okay, if it is unitary, you see that here is the point where your revenue is maximum. Okay, so if we translate this table into graph, okay, this is basically what I explained just now. Yeah, if we translate or transform the table just now into graph, okay, this is how the relationship is. This is the total revenue curve. Okay, it increased and then it reached the maximum, the 800 just now in the table, right? And then it drops. So this is correlated or corresponding, okay, to the demand curve here, in which if you look at this this part, right, the demand is elastic. Yeah, the demand is elastic. At the higher part of the demand curve, the demand is elastic. Right, so this is where if you reduce the price, then your total revenue increase. But if the demand is inelastic here, the lower range of the demand curve, if we reduce the price, actually the total revenue will decrease. Okay, and unitary elastic is a point where the total revenue is maximum. Okay, so from this diagram, you can see that first the demand, elasticity, and revenue is related to each other. Okay, so as I said just now, that's why for the business it is important for them to understand, okay, this concept of elasticity, okay, because this will give insights on their pricing strategy. Okay, whether it's better for them to reduce or increase the prices. Another thing is when we look into this demand curve, okay, the elasticity is not the same throughout the demand curve. Okay, this upper part, the demand is more elastic. This lower part, the demand is inelastic. Alright, so besides that three types of elasticity, okay, of own price, elastic, inelastic, and unitary, remember that you learned last time we have also extreme example, okay, in which the demand curve is horizontal like this. Okay, so this is what we call as perfectly elastic, remember? So perfectly elastic, your elasticity is infinite. Yeah, what does this horizontal curve means? You cannot change your price because it's perfectly elastic, meaning if you change your price, your demand will be zero. There will be no demand. Okay, so you cannot change the price basically. Yeah, so this is something that we are going to learn in chapter 8, yeah, when we learn about perfect competition. Yeah, all right, the second extreme case of elasticity, remember we have the vertical demand curve. Yeah, so vertical demand curve, okay, this is what we call the perfectly inelastic. Then if we calculate the elasticity, it will be zero. So what does it mean by this horizontal curve is it is perfectly elastic, meaning that you can charge any price. Yeah, whether you charge lower price, whether you charge very high price, okay, then your demand curve stay. Okay, it does not change. All right. So later again, I'm going to explain more about this in chapter 8. Okay, so in other words, there are 5 types of elasticity under own price. Okay, elastic, inelastic, unitary, perfectly inelastic, and perfectly elastic. Okay, so all right, we look at the next one. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is the relationship between elasticity and marginal revenue. Yeah, just now we talked about elasticity and total revenue. Okay, don't worry about this formula. Okay, what I want you to understand here is we can also derive elasticity from looking at the marginal revenue. Okay, marginal revenue is from total revenue. We know that marginal is derived from the total curve. Yeah. Okay, we have this MR more than 0, MR equal to 0, MR less than 0, and by looking at the MR value we can actually interpret what is the elasticity. Okay, let us look into the diagram. Okay, the diagram here, okay, this one is the demand curve, and normally the marginal revenue curve is half of the demand curve like this. Yeah, it will always below the demand curve. Okay, so what does it mean by the previous slide just now is alright, for the demand curve just now we have looked at, okay, at the upper part the demand is elastic. Okay, if we look into the corresponding marginal revenue curve, okay, this is the point here, okay, where MR is more than 1. How do we know when more than 1? Because if we look into this what do you call this, y-axis, okay, this one MR is, the value is positive. Yeah. Okay, when if we look at this point, this is where MR is equal to 0. You see, this is MR equal to 0. So if we know the MR value and the value is equal to 0, then basically we know that the elasticity is unitary. Okay, and after this point, okay, the demand is inelastic, right? So you see that this is corresponding to the area where MR is less than 1. Why? Okay, if we look into this y-axis, okay, this is all the value which is negative value. Yeah, so this is another way on how we can tell what is the elasticity. First is by the formula just now. Another one is if we know the MR value, okay, we can tell the elasticity as well. Okay, so if the MR value is positive, right, then the demand is elastic. If the MR value is equal to 0, then the demand is unitary elastic. And if the MR value is negative or less than 1, alright, the demand is inelastic. Okay, so next we look into the factors affecting the own price elasticity. Okay, there are 3 factors, okay, that can impact the own price elasticity. Okay, this one is basically what makes the demand elastic or less elastic. Okay, so the first one is the substitutes, okay, the availability of substitutes. Second is the time, okay, time that you have, okay, to purchase the product. And then the last one is the share, okay, the expenditure share, okay, of the consumer's budget. Okay, what does it mean by substitutes is, right, okay, if you look into this table, okay, let me look into this first, right? Okay, so if you look into this example, okay, transportation, motor vehicles and motorcycle, okay, these are one category, and then food and cereal, and then we have clothing and women clothing. Yeah, so if we look into let's say, okay, I take this one, okay, easier. Yeah, food and cereal. Okay, the food is negative 0.1. Okay, always it is negative. Remember, this is own price elasticity. Okay, this one is 0.7. This one is 1.5. Okay, we have learned that if it is more than 1, it is elastic. If it is less than 1, it is inelastic. Alright, so from this value, we know that between food and cereal, okay, food is less elastic than cereal. Cereal is more elastic. Alright, so why is this? Okay, because if we compare with clothing and women clothing as well, okay, clothing is less elastic, women clothing is more elastic. transportation, motor vehicles, and motorcycle and bicycle. Transportation is the least elastic. Okay, motor vehicles and bicycles is more elastic. Okay, because it is more than one. All right. So if you look, what's the similarity here? Why the value of elasticity is like this? Okay, transportation. Okay, food, clothing is what we call as product category, yeah. But motor vehicles is under this one, type of transportation. Motorcycle is also type of types of transportation. Similar, cereal is types of food. Okay, food can be many others. It's not only cereal. Yeah, it can be rice, it can be noodles. Okay, it can be chicken, whatever. Okay, so cereal is more specific type of product. Similar like clothing. Okay, women's clothing, okay, is a type of clothing. We have men's clothing, we have children clothing, okay, and so on. Right, so that's why if you look between, let's say, food and cereal just now, cereal have more substitute. Okay, cereal have more substitute. We don't not necessarily need to eat the cereal. We can eat formulation, maybe nasi lemak. Okay, we can eat porridge. Okay, we can eat what else? Yeah, biscuits. Yeah, so not necessarily cereal. So cereal have lots of substitutes. Okay, other types of food. Yeah, but food is food. Yeah, so that's why food is less elastic than cereal. Okay, because cereal have more substitute. So if we actually further let's say put the brand of the cereal, yeah, can be Kellogg's, okay, can be Nestle, let's say, yeah. So the more substitutes you have, then of course you can expect that the elasticity will be higher, yeah. Meaning that the consumers, if they don't like A, they can have B, C, and so on, yeah. But if you have less substitute, then your product will be less elastic. People don't have that much choice, and that's why as a businesses, okay, we have to make sure our product will be less elastic. Okay, we want people to let's say even though they have other products, they still cannot substitute our product with the other, yeah. So this is where in marketing we have the concept of loyalty, for example, okay, and how to make our product is less elastic. Okay, so people are willing to pay for our product even though maybe our price is higher. Okay, one of the strategy is the loyalty just now, right? And it can be developed, for example, through quality, okay, through differentiation, yeah, through good services. Yeah? So that's why if we reflect on ourselves, let's say I like to give example like iPhone, right? We know that iPhone, the prices is higher, okay, but still people buy, yeah. People are willing to pay more, okay. So it shows that iPhone, the demand is less elastic, yeah, with other brand name, yeah. But of course, to get that, you have to have a right marketing strategy. Okay, another factor just now is the what do you call it, a duration, time frame, yeah. Okay, so you can see that this is the difference between short term and long term, right? Short term and long term. Okay, so for the short term, okay, if we compare, this is inelastic. Okay, long term will be more elastic. Okay, so you can see here is the same, yeah. The long term will be always more elastic than the short term. Okay, why? Because if you have more time, okay, we can have more substitutes, right? We can find we have more time to find other alternative, yeah. For example, like if you want to have your lunch, okay, and you are in hurry, okay, you just actually go to any restaurant that you see, okay, or it is in that area probably, okay. But if you have a lot of time, okay, if you do not prefer that particular restaurant, you can go somewhere which probably maybe you know, far away, okay, a little bit distant, okay, then the one that you see, okay, at that particular location. Yeah, so more time basically give consumers more duration, longer duration to find alternative. So that's why in marketing, for example, if you realize, let's say some of the business sometimes they have this happy hour, right? Happy hour, because you want to make the time shorter, or maybe if you look into some promotion, they will give you something like urgency, like if you have a voucher, they will put there limited or until end of the month, until 30 June, for example. So it puts you in hurry. So this is actually an attempt to make the product less elastic. So you will have less time to think, basically. So if but if we compare between, okay, let's say this one, alcohol and tobacco, right? You see, even though the long term is more elastic, but both are still inelastic, because one is 0.3 and less than 1. This one is also less than 1, meaning that in short term and long term the demand, is still inelastic. So this is because of, you can guess the reason. These two is kind of product which is addictive. So even though the price is more, the price is higher, people still buy the product. Of course, it's not good. Even we really hope that the government will increase the what do you call it, the fine, the punishment, for those who consume the alcohol. But basically this type of product is addictive. That's why, for example, like cigarette, tobacco, government basically increase the revenue, increase the tax every year. If you listen to the national budget, for example, because even though the price is higher, people still buy. Of course, the good things is more revenues to the government. But actually, why normally government impose high tax on this product is because they want to regulate the behavior. The government want to reduce the consumption. But because it is inelastic, you can see that the demand does not change much, even though the price change a lot. So that is basically what elasticity is. Another one just now, the third one, if you remember, is the budget the budget share, meaning that the price of the product, whether it takes a lot of our budget or not. For example, like if you talk about low price product like salt, the price, let's say the price is 2 ringgit per pack, and then increase to 2 ringgit 10 cent. So the increase in 10 cents is not that much. So basically it not that elastic, because it doesn't take much of people's budget. So you cannot see much difference in terms of change in the quantity demanded. But if the product is elastic, if the product is expensive, take a lot of portion of our budget. Let's say cars. If the price reduced by let's say 3,000. So 3,000 is a lot. So it can actually influence, or the change in the quantity may be higher, right? So those are all the 3 factors that affect own price elasticity. Okay, so I think we finish on price elasticity. So I hope you understand what own price elasticity is. So inshallah we are going to see back in part 2. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.